honey. Welcome. Good morning. I gotta do my mic. We are expecting possibly 2 other people, brothers, men. We hope they can make it, since this is about the masculine and feminine divide and bridging that. So we shall see if they make it. But we wanted to start because it really is time to start. So while we are here together as a circle, I want to invite all of you to stand up. So Jean, if you join us here in the circle. And we're just going to take a moment to connect. And if you'd be willing, I'd love for us to hold hands just for a moment and really connect with each other here. We have a small but mighty circle of sisters. And I want to thank each of you for taking the time and making the choice to join us here. Because we are living in times when we are called to stand strong as pillars of light on this planet. And I know if you came here, it's for a reason. And that light that we are called to is the light of love. Love is frequency. And this work is a piece of that. It's a piece of evoking that, awakening that within ourselves and among each other. So thank you for being here. Now as we stand, I want to invite you, you can drop hands now, and just get your legs and your feet comfortable so you feel very balanced and grounded on the earth or on the floor. And take a moment and place your hands on your hearts. And you can close your eyes now if you'd like. Taking in a deep breath, filling your heart with air. And as you exhale, just release anything you are ready to let go of now. Good. And again, breathing in. And exhaling to release. Bringing yourself to this now moment. Giving yourself permission to be exactly as you are. You are perfect and present and welcome here. And one more nice deep breath in. And exhale. Thank you. Okay, you can go ahead and have a seat. We're actually going to have you stand again in a moment, but I just wanted to check in. Just do a little check-in with each of you. Has anyone ever been in a ceremonial circle before? If you have experience like this. It's just so that I know what needs to be explained. So gathering together, what we are going to do in a moment is we're going to do something called calling in the directions. So we're going to start in the east, and then we're going to move to the south, and then the west, and the north. And we have different women who will be calling in each of these directions. And the purpose of calling in the directions is to cast a circle of protection and to set an intention. How's that? To set an intention that this is a space that is sacred, protected, and intentional. That we are intending to be here together with our conscious presence. And so we call in the 4 directions, which is an ancient tradition in America and Europe, in order to ask for the support of the elements. It's still fuzzy. The support of the elements, nature, the divine, our own higher selves, and has meaning to us, to come and witness and join and support us in our sharing and in our work here today. So the next thing I wanted to ask is, I want to be sure that I'm being understood. Does everyone understand my language? Am I speaking clearly? Yeah.
I think it would be a good time to introduce yourself.
Yes, that's what I was doing. Four directions.
Well, first of all, yes, it's so great to have all of you here this morning. So welcome. I'm Professor Dutt, and particularly proud and feel privileged and honored to have my very, very good friend and sister, Dawn Vecchio, who's coming all the way from the US to bring this class to you with me.
Okay, so I don't want to trip and fall on it. My name is Dawn Vecchio, and I'm from the United States. I spend a lot of time in Asia. And one of the things that I have been called to in my life in a big way since I was a young woman is to hold the sacred feminine space, to facilitate ceremonial enactments and in the name of healing and awakening for the planet. So I have been and done many things in my life. My journey began 34 years ago on this path. And though it has woven in many ways, I've been called back to hold sacred space and to begin to facilitate transformation in a group setting. And I am very honored to have been invited by Melissa to come. She is a dear sister friend. We met in Greece and kind of weave our way and find ourselves in circles and adventures in different parts of the planet. And so together we felt that this ceremony, which is a ceremony and teaching, which is a variation on something we did in a pyramid in Bali, would be really fitting for Murfest. And again, we thank you for being here, and it's my honor and my blessing and my delight to share just a little bit of my knowledge as well as my magical toolkits with you today. So thank you.
I thought I should say a little bit about myself because I have a handful of my friends here, and I take it for granted that people know what I do. So I'm Malaysian, and I'm a singer-songwriter. I've pretty much spent the best part of 20 years of my life in the music business. But in the last 2 to 3 years, I've realized that my gift of music is to be used in a very different way. It's not about me getting up on stage or selling music per se. Music itself is very transformational, as you all will know. And so I have come to discover that my greatest purpose in life is to use music as intentionally as a transformational tool. So this is what I do now. I run workshops using music for transformation and healing, and I facilitate retreats. And it looks like now we're going to be getting involved in some festivals too. So that's what I'm doing now. My modality that I represent is called intuitive music programming. You're going to get a bit of a taste of it today at this class. And yeah, I'm very, very excited to be able to present this to you. And I'd also like to introduce Lindy Chu over here, another dear sister who's fellow Malaysian, and she's making her debut today with us with her sample. So we're really, really excited to have her join us today.
Thank you. So I want to do a couple of logistical things here. We will have a break at one point, and there is the restrooms are back there. Be sure that you have water, or if you need water, there's water over here. So maybe someone will let someone pass them around. Yeah, or you can grab. You can go ahead. Just have a few minutes of settling in here, and then we're going to begin properly. And here comes our other brother. Yay. Okay, so now we are going to get started. So I want to begin by talking a little bit about circle principles so that we understand what's kind of how this works. As you can see, as we sit in a circle together, we can see everyone here. So what that means is that we also, in a sense, have each other's backs. Because no matter what happens behind any of us, we can see. So we'll have someone, a member in the circle who can see. Do we have to? Hi there, are you joining us? Grab the chair. Maybe chair behind back. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things that are important to understand in the circle. And the first has to do with your presence. Because we can all see each other, if side chatter starts happening, it can be very distracting. So for example, if I'm talking, and maybe two of you just demonstrate what like listening and chatting, you can see that if I'm trying to communicate a message, how distracting this is. Okay? So please, when we're in the circle, be present, show up. Because your presence matters. We are all equals here. And because if you start chattering, of course, it distracts from those who want to hear what's going on. The other is to please turn off your cell phone or put it on mute. Again, same thing. If Vishal over here was busy talking on his phone, texting, you would notice that if Sa was speaking. So be sure to do that as well. And I want to invite each of you to really step in and own your equalness here, your authenticity, your wisdom, and your presence. It matters. In the circle, every energy matters. Unlike in school, when if you don't like the subject, you can go hide in the back of the class. Here, in a sense, there's no hiding. And yet, this is a safe place for you to be your authentic self. We're not going to ask you to do anything that's uncomfortable. So I ask you again to own your greatness, own your beauty, own your right to be here, your wisdom, your knowledge, and your presence, so that we are all blessed by that as well. So is that agreeable to all of you? Cool. Does anyone need to turn off their phone? Because now's the time before we call in the directions.
Could I request that one of the gentlemen at the back help us close the door, please? Thank you. That's it, you're locked in with us for 3 hours. You ready?
All right, so I want to ask everyone to stand now. We are going to call in the 4 directions and the center. Now, the funny thing is that Mindy and Melissa and I all put our compasses out and got a different direction for north. So we're going to go for a general location, and we're going to face in each of these directions. And there are specific people who are calling in those directions. So we're going to start by facing east, which means you're going to all face this way toward me, including me. And I want everyone, again, get yourself balanced, feel yourself in your body, get present right here, right now. We call upon the ancestors of the East to join us in this sacred space today. Come, hold us as we journey between the worlds, bringing with you the power of air, the breath of life, insight, and the big picture vision of the winged ones, the eagle, hawk, and condor. Hail and welcome east. Take a breath now and take a quarter turn to your right. So now we're going to face this way where the plants are up against the wall. And this is the south.
Call upon the ancestors of the South to join us in this sacred space today. Come, hold us as we journey between the worlds, bringing with you the power of fire, the creative spark, sacred sexuality, and the transformational power of the Kundalini serpent. Hail and welcome, South.
Hail and welcome, south. We'll take a breath and a quarter turn to the right where we face the west.
We call upon the ancestors of the West to join us in this sacred space today. Come, hold us as we journey through the worlds, bringing with you the power of water, the gift of emotions, intuitive knowing, and the wisdom of the Finn ones, who know how to flow through the depths of experience. Hail and welcome, West.
Hail and welcome, west. And taking a breath and a quarter turn to the right, we face the north.
We call upon the ancestors of the North to join us in the sacred space today. Come, hold us as we journey between the worlds, bringing with you the power of earth, the strength of the mountains, the bounty of Mother Gaia, and the courage to stand strong in the face of change. Hail and welcome North.
Hail and welcome north. And taking a breath and turn to the center. We call upon the ancestors of the center, the grandmothers and the grandfathers. And we also call upon the divine in the guise of both mother and father, the divine feminine and the divine masculine. We call and ask you to come and hold us in this sacred space that we may share insight, wisdom, and begin the reweaving, the rebalancing, and the bridging of the gap between women and men, that we can heal and reclaim our partnership once again. Hail and welcome, center.
Hail and welcome, Center.
Okay, so go ahead and have a seat. So here's how this is going to go. There's going to be some teaching components. Obviously, I don't use these mics very much. No, I think maybe I got it now. How's this? Yeah. There's going to be some teaching components, and then there's going to be some experiential movement, music, and some sharing possibly. So this isn't just a talking class, nor is it just a movement class. We're going to begin by going to be doing a little bit of teaching on the first segment of teaching is on the big picture. So what I need to do is I need to just go into my little meditative space for just a moment and just connect with what needs to be brought forward first. So the first thing I want to share is the importance of defining a few terms here. I want to make a distinction between what we would call masculine and feminine energies and men and women. Okay? So we have a lot of women and the two courageous brothers. Thank you so much for joining us. And so we have women and men. Now within each of us, we also have energies that are masculine in nature and feminine in nature. So I want to be clear that when I use the terms of masculine and feminine, I'm not referring to boys and girls. I'm referring to energy qualities. Okay? Does that make sense? So what I thought we could do is kind of together figure out, or sort of share what our perceptions are of what is masculine energy and what is feminine energy, or some qualities of these. So if we think for a moment about masculine energies, one thing that comes to mind, for example, is being clear-minded or thinking. That would be one quality. But I want to hear from all of you. I want input. You can just kind of call it out. What are some other qualities that you might call masculine that can be in women and men? Go-getting. Yeah, great. Thank you. What else? Just call it out. Consciousness. Presence. Consciousness. Grounding. Strong. Warrior. Say goal-oriented. Protective, thank you. Yeah, protective. Providing. Hunter. Anyone else? So how about the feminine energies? What are some qualities that we might say are feminine in nature? Nurturing. Intuitive. Soft. Strong. Creative. Receptive is one I would say. Receptive. Anyone else? Protective also. Yeah. Vulnerable. Surrender, yes. Great. So as we tune into these, can you notice inside that whether you are a woman or a man, you have some of these qualities, right? Yeah, we do. Because we're human, so we have some of both. So I wanted to talk about this situation that we are on the planet, where it doesn't seem exactly like women and men are partners, even though we both share qualities of masculine and feminine energies. Now, I don't know when, and I don't know how, but there's been a time on the planet where there was a divide between masculine and feminine, where boys don't cry, and girls don't get jobs, and boys go to war, and girls learn to cook, and so on and so forth. Separation of the masculine and feminine qualities such that boys are only allowed to do masculine energies for the most part. Girls only allowed to do feminine energies for the most part. So there was this sort of separation between those. Now, in some societies, that can work really well if they are partners. But there's a problem. And that is that the feminine and masculine energies and men and women have not, in almost every culture on this planet, been seen as equal partners. What has happened is that the masculine qualities and men have been elevated, and the feminine qualities and women have been devalued, so that the relationship is not equal and not partnership. And that's gone on for several thousand years now. And the situation is such that it's not really tenable anymore. It's not really workable. So why isn't it workable? Just connect here. When our sons are sent to war to die before the cannons, there's something wrong. When our daughters are questioned about their integrity when they are attacked sexually by violent men, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. We are all children of a mother and a father. Many of us are mothers or fathers of children. We all want our children to be safe and loved, to live in a world that's fair. And yet in most countries, women can do the same or equal work as men and get paid less, and still have to go home and cook and clean. Men are suppressed, repressed, and abused if they express emotions, especially as boys in school. I am the mother of a 34-year-old son who's a very sensitive man. And it wasn't safe for him to express his feelings in school without getting bullied. So there is really a divide that we need to begin to bridge. And we need to find a way to honor ourselves, whether we are women or men, and find ways of more partnership with each other. Let me just check in with everyone. Are you tracking with me? Is this making sense? Okay. Because I need to go into a little deeper state now for a moment. Sit forward. So I keep banging the little battery thing for the mic. You all came here for a reason, not just this room, but this life now. We are on planet Earth, undergoing some tremendous changes. The way things used to work doesn't work so well anymore. And we see it in many ways. We see it in the Me Too movement. We see it in the never-ending war going on this planet. We see it in the struggle financially for many people. We see it in the conflicts. We see it in the excessive drama when we're watching the news or TV. It's not sustainable anymore. We need to find a new way to be together, both with same gender and opposite gender. We need ways to live more peacefully on this planet. Cultures are dying at rapid rates. Languages are dying at rapid rates. The forests of our earth are being mowed down. And this is not to be a bummer. This is to say, look, something has got to change. Now that's the difficult piece of it. The upside is that there is a great awakening going on this planet. Look, for example, at the yoga movement. We can look no further than that. Yoga alone has rapidly spread around the world, bringing a different approach to life, to our well-being, and to our health, and to our own connection with our inner self, like never before. There's an awakening going on the planet. Our solar system is actually moving through a different part of the galaxy that is of a higher frequency. So what that means is that we are all being bathed in higher frequency energies. And this is something that we can see in the Schumann resonance, the rise of the resonance of the planets, her frequency, Mother Earth's frequency. And so if you would imagine for a moment, you have a glass jar, and in the jar there's a whole bunch of dirt at the bottom, and then there's water up to the top. And if that jar just sits there nice and still, everything's fine, all of the dirt will settle to the bottom. But what happens if you start to shake the jar? The water begins to get cloudy. And eventually, if you shake it enough, the dirt starts coming out of the top. So we know that we are being bathed in higher frequencies on this planet right now. And because we're being bathed in higher frequencies, we are vibrating at a faster rate. So what happens is when we have a lot of pain, wounding, shame, hate, fear, trauma stored in our bodies, stored in our energy fields, stored in our minds, It's starting to shake up. Has anyone noticed how crazy some things are now in the news, certainly in the Western world? We see that the jar is getting shaken up. And what that means is that we have to begin to go inward and clear out our own jars. We have to find the places where we are blocked, stuck, have trauma that needs to be released, and heal ourselves. Heal our psycho-spiritual beings, heal our hearts that have been wounded for many, many generations because of the war, because of the trauma, because of this divide and hierarchy of the masculine over the feminine. There are many, many causes, but it all comes down to that we are living at a time when healing on many levels is essential if we are to move forward on this planet. We have enough nuclear arsenal on this planet to destroy it. That's insane. That's insane. So one of the things I want to talk about right now is the difference between masculine forms of creation and feminine forms of creation, because this is a key piece. And remember, I'm not talking about men and women right now. I'm talking about these principles. So the masculine principle, and we women have it too, is an energy of the mind. You know when you see someone who's really brilliant and they can think with their mind really clearly, and then they come up with the idea and then they go for it, like an arrow shooting in one direction. That's masculine energy, and it's a beautiful thing. It's what brings about many forms on this earth. Now, the feminine form of creation is different. The feminine form of creation, and again, men have this too, but it's a more receptive energy. So just as I demonstrated here, I say, wait a minute, let me tune in for a moment. I go into receptive mode, I receive. When I serve in this role and facilitate groups, I do what's called a priestess role, where I go into the feminine form of receptivity first. So I receive first, this is a feminine way, and then I begin to, if I were going to create something, say, not just teaching, I would begin to source from many parts of my brain and many parts of my body and many parts of my life to contextualize what I want to create. How would it be if I did that? How would that work in my neighborhood? I contextualize it a little bit more. That's the feminine form of creation. And then when I get the receiving the guidance, I kind of feel around and source from different parts of me and my context of my life. Then I begin to figure out, okay, how am I going to bring this creation to form and then drive in the masculine way to bring it about. So when we have the two together, the feminine and the masculine together, we can create amazing things. But when we only do one, it can be a real problem. So let's start with the feminine first. What happens if all I do is be receptive and then oh wow, I'm feeling I want to do this painting. Oh, I want to paint a whole series about my experience in Malaysia. And I paint them and then I go, no one ever sees the paintings. What if I get a great idea for how to clean water, clean the oceans? And I receive it, and I contextualize, and I figure it all out, and then I create this machine, and then I just sit there. Nothing happens. We need the masculine to go, okay, right, what are we going to do with this? How are we going to go? How are we going to make this happen? Who do we need to talk to? What support do we need? That's that masculine energy. When we bring the two together, we have partnership, and we have manifestation that's balanced. Now, how about if we do masculine form of creation without bringing the feminine in? Get an idea, right, good idea, make it happen, go. No contextualizing, no figuring out whether this is going to be beneficial for the community or not. It's like, hey, I got this idea, I think it's a good idea, we should do it, we're going to make it. So I want to do an illustrative point here, which is the guys who first started developing the iPhones, they were young men, they didn't have children, And they thought it was the coolest thing since sliced bread to be able to create these little smartphone devices where they could do everything on them. And so, great idea, boom, go for it. Focus on everything that needs to happen to make it work. And then they became dads. And what do you think happened when their kids were old enough to hold their iPhones? Shit. I don't have a relationship with my kid because he or she is always in the iPhone. So it was a form of creation that was wonderful, but it didn't contextualize. It didn't bring in some of the feminine principles of, how would that impact the community? How would that impact families? How would that be? How does that impact the environment? What kinds of things do we need in order to, the physical elements to make it happen? So this is the difference between masculine and feminine forms of creation in my simplistic explanation. But I just want to check in, is this making sense still? Are you all tracking with this? So I shared this because, again, my intention here, our intention is really, how do we bridge the divide? Because we have had many thousands of years where over time the masculine and feminine have been separated out, where only men get to do masculine for the most part. Only women get to do feminine. The masculine is more valued than the feminine. And we have reached a point of manifestation on this planet where it is unsustainable to continue. And so again, I point to, just consider for a moment, nuclear bombs. What sense does that make? For anyone who is a parent, what sense does it make to have the capacity to actually destroy the very planet we live on? Contextually, it makes no sense. But if you just force the creation and the concept through the mind and you say, hey, this is defense, this is protection, it makes some sense. But if you go, but wait a minute, we blow up everything and poison the earth, it loses, it only goes so far and then it makes no more sense. So, let's see what's next. I feel like the next piece is to go with you and having us connect with our own inner masculine and feminine. Just want to check and see if there's any questions first. Does anyone have any questions or comments right now? Anything that they want to share before we go into a process with this? And if you just project your voice.
Yeah, I'm talking with Sarah a while back about this. It's something, it started maybe around 15 years ago. I was going from Argentina to Guatemala.
Is it on?
No. There it is. Can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah, they have to.
Okay, there we go. I've got to keep the name.
Yes, it's a Wall Street stuff.
Yeah, so I was on a flight going with my ex-wife from Argentina to Guatemala. This is way before I got into looking at interesting things. The entire trip, 12 hours, going up the Cordillera de los Andes, I was having a conversation with Guy. And it was really, really bizarre. And it was basically exactly what we're talking about here today. There's a complete imbalance of the masculine and the feminine. And I'm still working on this. Because what's come over the last couple of years is this idea. You asked where this started. The impression that I've got is this started 15,000 years ago. There was a lot of matriarchies around the world at that time. And men and women both were doing really, really nasty shit to each other. The matriarchies were massively abusing the men, the patriarchies were massively abusing the women. And so what all of them got together was to create a spiritual contract about how each would honor the energy of the other. And men were supposed to protect. And we know how that turned out. And so it forced women to become devious because they were giving away their power. And look at the way marriage works. You're giving away your power from the feminine side, expecting the man to support you. At least that's the traditional worldview, right? So how do you feel when you give away your power?
Pissed off.
Pretty much. And that's exactly why men have the reaction that they do, because they're being forced into certain situations, because women are being forced into situations that you're incredibly powerful beings. You can see stuff that men can barely glimpse at, and you process the world in a way that most men can't. I'm talking, physically at this point, right? So there's that huge battle going on. And so I'm really honored to be here that we hear this, because I think that there's two sides of it. One is we're dishonoring the sacred feminine, no question about that. The other massive issue is men have no longer been taught how to be men. We have these incredibly stupid media stereotypes of some butch guy, holding a machine gun. That's not what manhood is. Men, by nature, this is my discovery, are very gentle, protective people who want to look after their families and make sure that they look after the people that they care about. Strength is used for creation, farming, support, etc. Yes, eventually if somebody does attack your family, fine, that's a last resort. But we've had masculine twisted around to be this violent, senseless creature. That's pretty much, exactly. And I would say any man in his right mind would abhor what men are doing to women around the world. That's
Thank you.
my perspective.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah. We are going to talk more too about the brains of women and men in a bit. So, yeah, beautiful. Anyone else want to share anything before we move into a process?
Just really random. For the first time in my life, actually this morning, I was featured with.
And for the first time ever this morning, sat down for half an hour and listened to the Schumann resonance.
Beautiful.
You just mentioned it, yeah. It's cool.
The Schumann resonance is like the heartbeat of Mother Earth, and Gaia is a name for Mother Earth that Anthony was speaking to on his island.
So how do you listen to Schumann resonance? I put
There's-
it on my computer and put it on, and it's like when
It's a
the
frequency.
sound, it has a vibration, so you actually feel the vibration. I've never ever listened to it in my life before. It was mentioned to me yesterday. And I just, for some weird reason this morning, I was like, okay, I'm just going to listen to it. And I put my hands on the desktop screen. And it was really weird. It kind of changed the sound. And I felt it from my little dog was sitting there going, and he was like, tripping a bit. So it was just interesting that you mentioned it. So I was kind of like, this is all synchronized and cool.
Divinely aligned.
Yes.
Okay, anyone else before we shift our energies a bit?
Okay. Well, what I'd like to do is play some music for you. So I've created a small playlist, and I'm going to play it for you, but this is a process. We've been talking about the masculine and feminine energies and aspects. And I think what's very important to heal, to start healing this divide, is for us to notice these aspects and energies in ourselves. When we find ourselves perhaps getting frustrated or angry or triggered by somebody else's masculine or feminine aspect, actually what it is it's us normally projecting it within ourselves. So it's very important for us to be able to integrate both the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves, so that we can honor it within ourselves. Now, doing it using music means that I think we've had an amazing teaching piece from John, so first of all, thank you, John, and of course, thank you, Anthony, for your contribution. But I actually now want to get you out of your heads, completely out of your heads. So, first thing I'll do is, with my very masculine focused energy, I'm going to get some pens and some paper. So I will pass that now. Read pens and I'll pass this one here. Just because there's going to be a little bit of journaling as well. So if you have a pen and paper, or take two sheets of paper if you want.
Papers going around. Does everyone have a pen? Papers coming?
So while the paper is being distributed, so the music, the playlist has been created intuitively to support, to provide you with the vehicle to go through this process of integrating the masculine and feminine energies, which perhaps you're going, what does that mean? Very simply, we're going to listen to the playlist. Before we listen to the playlist, I'm going to speak out, and it's up to you if you want to write these words down. In summary, what Dawn has just told us about masculine and feminine energy. So, for example, masculine, mind, feminine, heart. So we'll wait for you to get ready. If you want to write those down, you can. And then I'm going to play the playlist. And as we know with frequency, or we may or may not know, we are all frequency. We are all vibration. We go to simple science, and we go to basic physics. We're all made of atoms. All matter is made of atoms. And if you know how the atom is made, well, basically an atom is vibration. So we're basically all vibrating. Everything is matter. So music obviously is frequency and vibration, and music has this amazing power and energy within it, and it's very coded. So the emotions that you experience, the feelings that you experience through music are incredibly transformational. And with the tools that I have gathered in my experience with music, with writing music, with using my intuition, both my masculine and feminine, to create music, I have really mastered the art of being able to select, or using my intuition as well, to select music very intentionally to carry you through a specific journey. So in this way, and I call this intuitive music programming, in this way, with playlisting, I've created a portal, a gateway that takes you into really your unconscious mind. Not the front part, not the bit that requires you to think, but really it opens a portal to that part of you that doesn't get to be seen or heard very much. The other thing about music is it gets us into our body. So I want to get you into your body with this as well. Before I continue, anybody have any questions? If none of this makes sense to your mind, we're doing well. Because it doesn't need to make sense to your mind, actually. You just need to experience it. So I'm going to play the playlist. Well, I'm going to give you the aspects, and then I'm going to start playing the playlist. And as I play the playlist, listen. Duh. But listen with your body. So if you want to close your eyes, close your eyes. Like really take in the music on a cellular level. Okay, the playlist, I've done a ritual on the playlist, I've used a beautiful tool called Serenity Vibration Healing, where the music is very gridded. So there's magic in the music, there's magic in this playlist. So really fully be receptive, be in the feminine energy, and fully receive the music and see what it brings up for you. Don't judge what comes up. You think about, oh, that feels good. Whatever comes up, if you feel called to write it, so journal it on that piece of paper, that is calling, whatever it is, that image, that word, that emotion, is coming up for you, calling to be written down because it's calling to be released. So this is a process. It's calling to be seen and noticed and released. Okay. Any questions? Yes. So I'm just going to, I'll start with the masculine energies or aspects. So if you want to jot them down, you may, or you may just want to close your eyes, and I'll have a pause between each word, and maybe there's after each word, just take a breath and really breathe in the word. So we're going on with the masculine first. Thinking. A straight line. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to start this again. I'm going to start with the masculine and then give you the feminine. Round. Okay? So let's all take a breath together. Let's have a nice reset. Beginning with the masculine. Thinking. Feeling. That's the masculine. Straight line. And the feminine. Circle. The masculine. Mind. The feminine. Heart. The masculine. Hunter. The feminine. Gatherer. The masculine. Protective. Feminine. Nurturing. Masculine. Linear. Linear problem solving. Feminine. Contextual problem solving. And the last, masculine. Tunnel vision or high focus. And feminine. Multitasking. I'll take a breath, please. Wonderful. So stay in your state, to stay calm, stay grounded in your seat, please. And I'm going to talk you through again one more time this process. I'm going to be playing you a playlist. And we're going to listen with every single cell in your body. And to get you grounded into your body before I start playing the playlist, I'm going to sing a little song for you. A little song not for you, a little song for yourselves. Okay? To prepare you for this playlist, and everything that's going to come up with it, the masculine and the feminine, whatever comes up is calling for our attention. We're going to protect it, nurture it, we're going to gather it and hunt it. We're going to let it come from our hearts, travel through our minds, into words that perhaps we really want to journal. Take another breath, please. We're going to hold on to the truest essence and highest ideal for ourselves as we enter this process. You may feel a bit nervous, a bit curious, anxious, a bit excited. Know that you are safe, held, supported here. Sometimes you wonder if you're dreaming, if you ever can escape all the thoughts that you've been keeping. And when you wake from all your dreaming, you have to be strong, 'cause you need to carry on. When it's hard to breathe, hold on. When you're missing me, hold on. When you're feeling low, hold on. When you're all alone, hold on. You know you'll always have me here, whether near or far. 'Cause you can always count on me. You will see, my dear.
So tell me, are you missing me? When you're feeling down low, you don't wanna be alone. Hold on. When you're feeling low, hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
So tell me how deep is your love, can we go deeper? So tell me how deep is your love, can we go deep?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, son. Okay, everyone, just take a deep breath. We have two things we want to do. One is that we'd like to have some sharing time, but I want to be sure that if anyone needs to have a restroom break, that we do that. So, am I hearing some yeses? Okay, so we're going to take a 10-minute break, but here's the thing. I want to really invite you to stay in state. Stay in the state you're in. So rather than having a lot of chit-chat, getting out your phones, I invite you to stay present with what we are building here, because we are building something, an energy, a connection. And we want to hold that energy so that when we come back to the circle, we can share and stay connected with anything that may have unfolded. So if you'd be willing to do that, I'd appreciate it, we'd appreciate it. And so 10 minutes. If you need to use the restroom, it's over there. And if not, you can stay now, write, journal, just stay present with yourself. So, as you sit and listen to the bowls, just get connected. Get connected with your breath. Feel the breath moving in your body. Let the sound wash over you. Breath and sound and body together in this circle. We would like now to invite you to share, if you would like, if there's an awareness, an experience you'd like to share with the group. I have a stone here. In the Native American tradition, there's something called a talking stick. And the stick is passed, and whoever holds the stick has the floor. And the rest of us listen and witness. So in lieu of a talking stick, I have a talking stone. So if anyone would like to share maybe, I don't know, a minute, we have more goodness in store, so not too long. But if you feel moved to share something, just let me know and I'll pass you the stone.
So this is a little bit of a downer, but it's 100 years since the First World War ended, a week or so. And the warring parties, the sides, knew that they had reached a peace accord. It was to end, I think, November 11th at 11 a.m. And yet that morning the general sent the soldiers to keep fighting. And hundreds of thousands of boys and men died because the masculine had gone berserk. It was the end, they knew it was the end, but they couldn't stop the killing. So that was, it came up to me, the music brought it up. I read it just yesterday, and it didn't, it was here. But music brought it to this sense of rage, rage about when we are unchecked, when we don't balance, how awful that can look.
Thank you. Let's just take a breath. Who else feels called to share? Anyone?
That was a really lovely exercise. And for me, it was interesting how each of the songs I listened and said, feel it, feel your body. And of course, I think it in my head, and then it would go down into the body. And so there were certain songs that resonated on the right side. And then, and I would feel it outward, which, and then some that would go on the left, and some of those. It was really interesting. And there was a certain song, I can't remember which one it was, where I was reminded that of how much men, I have two sons, do need the feminine or the female in their life. And everything is, not everything, sorry. There's so much she, so boys, men need their mothers. It's often, in the family, you often say, a
balance is important. But so much of us is referred to she or mother. So the men that are fighting for their mother country. So many things. I was reminded of Mother Earth. And men often they meet their mother, or if it's not their mother, it's their wife, or if they're lucky enough, their sister. So it's really good to show that as a reminder.
Thank you. That brought something up for me, actually, that I never shared with anyone before, so I'm going to share it in this group. And I'm the mother of a son, and he's 34, so when he was 21 to 25, that's the time when he could be drafted to go into war. And that's a scary time for a mother. That we didn't have an active war then, but he was required to register for the draft in America. And there were times where I felt haunted by his voice as a man calling for me, dying. It was horrible. I don't know if I was connecting with some other lifetime, but it was frightful. And I'm not sure why I'm sharing that. Yeah, I do know why. Because nobody wins when we are this out of balance. Anyone else like to share?
I felt that the song was talking to me, be my friend. How deep is your love? And it's a very soulful connection. I had tears of reflection, was tears of joy, reality. To know who I truly am, who I need to be, is what it really was. My mom was involved, she was involved in World War II, where the Japanese had invaded India back in the 1940s. And she had to have her hair cut very short. She had to be a male figure. She had to go out to the battlefield to protect herself. So I can understand the masculine energy. And I realized that over time I'm beginning to let it go and embracing more of the femininity of me, which I have really lost. Being in control of my life, being in control of the family, the children, always in control, always, having that masculine side. I think the journey has begun, but I think the ceremony today is very important to sort of anchor the intent and really, sort of anchor that, yes, this is the journey we move forward. So that we feel that essence of balance between both the masculine and the feminine is, and that will take us to where we truly want ourselves.
I gave birth to a new me. Two other things came up. I wrote down multiple genders. Because I think this whole binary thing, the media, the way it says, oh, you must be this or you must be that. And it instills cognitive dissonance. Why can't you stand up? You don't have to necessarily be against something if you don't agree with it. That's something that came up with, you don't have to polarize. The other thing, what was really beautiful was to see the balance of the energy, masculine and feminine energy in the room. And this could be a really great place to start losing the hatred that women have for men and the pain and the abuse that men have for women. Because we've all treated each other really badly, generationally and ancestrally. So it was really inspiring for me, seeing how wonderful the balance was in the room. So thank you both and everybody else who made that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Right, so I love music so much. I listen to music all the time, and all the different songs we play except for one. And I was like, oh, I love this song. I just wanted to get up and dance, right? And of course, what do? I'm up here, I'm kind of my end. You were the first person who was going to do my name. Actually start dancing and stuff. And then it was when I don't know which song it was that came on. I was like, right, gotta go. But like, what I noticed, like, why does it take us so long? Like, why are we so, like, we're in this room and we're all sharing the same experience. It's not like we're in a ball music and I'm suddenly going to get up and start dancing, right? Why am I still sitting here going, I'm embarrassed and feeling awkward, I really want to dance and have that, you know, so that's the masculine logical to me. And then once that kind of let go, it was like spinning around and jumping and stuff, so yeah, it was really a cool experience without alcohol.
Thank you. So that's great because we have more dancing in store. Yes. Yeah, we're not done yet. Anyone else? Did I see? Yes, Esther.
I love dancing too. First song, crying, I saw that little Essie when I started finding her name is Essie. And she was on it. I could feel her. And so we traveled 3 times with music. And we were lost, not lost. Before last song of the garden. So that really gave me a lot of power and also about the arts really brought that strong warrior that I just felt so good and just wanted to share that. I love dancing. I also am so ready to dance so much more. And I'm really ready to dance a lot. So
Thank you. Thank you. I was thinking the way, just a comment here that came up for me is the masculine and feminine dancing. So for me, the feminine dancing is the belly dancing and the movement, right? And what's the masculine? Yeah, good.
So I thought I'd share with you my process of preparing this segment of class today was that I had used my intuition, which is the feminine flow, to see what music spoke to me. Called me, I want to be on the playlist, and I need to be in this spot, I need to be the third song, I need to be. So, okay. So the intuition is the flow, the feminine, into the structure, to what would seem a logical organizational structure, and focus, clarity, which is the masculine. So already they're integrating both. And then showing up today, super nervous, because this is so exciting to be able to be doing this for the first time in my homeland. I have no idea how exciting this is for me, it's the first time. And then getting up, putting on the playlist, and as I looked at the playlist, and I had you all in state, really like present and grounded, I looked at it and went, no, not this playlist. And did a quick edit. I just saw the songs and I edited and pulled the song that was actually meant to be at the end to the first song. And then as the song played and I moved around the room quite a lot, I put on my oil, which is a transformation oil, and I kind of just tuned it to all of you, which is the feminine, the intuition again, and kept going back up and editing the playlist. So that was a live playlist of it. just totally flow. And part of me was like, come to this, and the other part of me was like, fuck it, do what you're called to do. And all that dancing, all that singing was not like that. It was total flow, total guidance. And it was really, really enriching and fulfilling to see all of you move through that as well, that process. You know, when you were speaking as well, Carrie, about how I could see a lot of you were like, it's a process, and that's the thing, is to remember that everything is a process. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, in every song, well, not in every song, but a lot of songs, there is a masculine and a feminine side. So, I mean, we don't have that song today, but Jay-Z and Beyonce, Jay-Z and Alicia Keys do a song about New York, right? From Empire State, right? And it's funny because Jay-Z is rapping and Alicia Keys is singing. And in that song, I always sing, not rap. Right? But I realized that in most songs, I sing to the tune and not to the masculine side of rapping or whatever. And my guy friends will be in the car rapping, and I will be quiet, and then when the singing comes, I'll start singing. Right? And so, just not a shame.
Thank you.
I rap.
Right. Anyone else before we move on? Because we do have more yumminess ahead. Anything? Okay. So speaking of being in the flow, I'm noticing in terms of time and also in terms of what feels right with this group, that what I want to do now is talk about this last segment we're going to do in the Cone of Power. So I'm going to teach that piece and we're going to do that. Okay?
You did hear that right. She did say
Cone of Power. So, okay. So, in the first tradition I learned to do sacred ceremony and circle in, it's called Wicca. Wicca is the old religion of Europe, pre-Christian Europe. And one of the aspects of a ceremony is an enactment. And it's a way of somatically or with the body demonstrating your intention. So it's about bringing the power of attention and intention to that which you wish to manifest, transform, activate, release, etc. So what I want to do now is explain a little bit, teach a little bit about how we do this, and then we are going to dance, sisters and brothers, we are going to dance, and we're going to do some serious transformational magic. And it's all done with attention and intention. How do we change a world that seems flipped on its head and out of control? We can go out there in the streets and march, we can fight against it, but what we're finding is that those kinds of activities don't work. In a sense, we all, in a real sense, we each individually, within ourselves, are creating everything out there. Collectively, we are co-creating a reality, and if we want to see it improve, change, then we go within first, to change it from within. So if I see war out there, I ask myself, where am I warring inside of myself? If I see divisiveness out there, or judgment, or if I feel judged by others, I ask, where am I in judgment of others? And I clean it from the inside out. So this ceremonial enactment we are going to do has a component of really going in to notice what we want to release. And then we are going to, I feel like I want to stand and walk now for this part, we are going to pour it into the cauldron with our attention and intention. We're going to pour, and you can even do it, energetically, into this cauldron which has water and flower petals in it. Anything we are ready to release that is really obstructing our ability to flow and integrate our own inner masculine and feminine energies. So I'll be guiding you through this. We're not going to do it yet. So once we do that, we'll have some, do we have music for that? Or we have music or vocals? Yeah. Well, as we're pouring that in. So there'll be some sound and some guidance. Once we feel complete, where you've poured in whatever it is you want to, that your intention, you intend to release today into the cauldron, then what we're going to do is we're going to dance. And this will be my playlist that I put together when we did the ceremony in Bali. And we're going to dance. And we're going to stand up, we're going to move the chairs back and dance around this altar. So at first you can kind of dance anywhere you want, but as the music goes, it's a 24-minute set. So as it goes, we're going to begin to move around the circle. So you could be dancing, you could be dancing in and out, but you're going to move in a clockwise direction around the circle as a group. Maybe we'll have 2 rows or maybe 1. What I want you to do, what we'll do as we move and dance and let the energy build and build and build, imagine, if you will, that there's a vortex of energy above this altar. And what we are doing is we are building this energy up and up and up like a spiral. It's a big spiral and it's going up and up and up. And by the way, you know what happens when you put together the line of the masculine and the circle of the feminine? You get a spiral. So we're going to spiral that energy up. And there will be a peak. And I'll be guiding you through. And at that peak, what we do is, before that, we open a portal, and there's a little song, it even says open the portal. We open the portal, and that portal is an opening that allows us to take what we want to release and send it to the universe to be transformed into love, to be transformed into light, to be transformed into healing for ourselves, our families, and our planet. So it's all just magic. You can say it's just magic, or you can say that magic is changing consciousness at will. And when we intend and attend and gather together as sisters and brothers with our heartfelt desire to transform what does not serve into love and light, I tell you, sisters and brothers, it works. And the angels won't come down on high or anything like that, but you will find that in the days and weeks and months ahead, things will arise for you. Blessings, perhaps challenges that align with your desire for what you want to release as this energy transforms. So this is an enactment. It's a blessing for the planet. It's a blessing for each of us here. And it is a way for us to join our energies in an intention for the higher good. So with that, Sa, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I feel a little bit of discomfort. Perhaps I'm projecting. Like this whole idea of what's there's walking around a circle in a spiral and sending, it's all and everything and that and more. And it is absolute magic. And this is, if any of you are getting stuck in your head, a bit worried or doubt or fearful of it, this is play. This is what we do as children. And children have magic. This is the part of life and vitality that we have, that has been suppressed in us and removed from us. This is the magic that we're here to do, really the magic. So if you're stuck in your head, see this as play. Because when you watch children play, you just want to join in. Look at their vitality. This is what we can bring the vitality back in life, but with intention, and it's incredibly powerful. And there's an absolute, well, that's why Dawn and I are bringing this, because we've seen the evidence of it working. So it's play with impact. Yeah.
Thank you. And to that, thank you to that. In the tradition of Wicca, they say that in order for us to get to our higher selves, we must first connect with the child self. Because the left brain, rational mind can never get there. It's when we surrender and play. We've got some nice playful music for you and really good music. That we actually, it's like we open within, we surrender and receive our own divine guidance, our connection with our highest selves.
15 seconds dawn. For a moment, that means just whisper to the sides.
Okay, so obviously I'm not used to these mics. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I want to guide you into connecting with yourself again. The first thing we're going to do is connect with what needs to be released, and you know what this is. You know what it is. So go ahead, close your eyes. I would encourage you actually, if you would, to uncross your legs and place your feet on the ground. Get yourself, unless you're probably sitting like Indian style, get yourself really where you feel that sense of groundedness. Begin to breathe. Connecting in with your body. Connecting in with your breath. And now I want to invite you to go to that place inside of you that has something that needs to let go. Maybe it feels like a physical pain or a light bulb or an energy. Somewhere within you is that place where there's a peace you are ready to surrender. Maybe it's an old story that you no longer need to tell. Maybe it's a sorrow or a heartbreak. Maybe it's an anger or a resentment. There's no judgment here. Trust what arises for you know your own truth. Connect with this piece, this part, this memory, this emotional state, this story that you are ready to surrender. At your own pace, and when you're ready, you can take yourself over to the cauldron and using your attention and your intention, pour it into the cauldron. Release and surrender into the cauldron. That story, that wound, that resentment, that pain. You don't need to say anything. Just allow it into the cauldron. are going to begin our dancing. So what I'd like to ask each of you to do is to pull your own chair back. We need more room. If there's paper or things under it, just pull it back. that love and all that goodness and all that intention to transform what we no longer need into service and true love. When you're ready, bring some to your own heart. Give yourself a blessing of this energy we've raised together. Taking a deep breath. And when you're ready, offer some now to Mother Earth. Even though we're up on the whatever floor, just with your intention and attention, offering some to this beautiful planet upon which we live, our Mother Gaia. Gratitude and thanks. We raise the planetary vibration as we bring forth more love. Whenever you're ready at your own pace, you can come back up to standing, come into the circle. And I invite us all to hold hands if you feel comfortable with that. We have come to live in extraordinary times, times when the old paradigm is shifting, times when we no longer need to cling to third-dimensional, physical, separate parts, times when we can remember who we truly are as divine beings in form, when we can remember that it is in love and connection and support that we can transform things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'd like to just go around and ask each of you to just say a word of what's going on for you right now. So a word or 2 words, just to express how you're feeling. I'll start and we'll go clockwise around the circle. I'm feeling grateful. Ecstatic. So let us all take in these beautiful feelings and emotions, and whatever serves us, know that as each person in the circle brings their gifts, so we are all blessed, so we may all lift as we rise. So is there anything you want to say before we release? Thank you.
You're just hard through my voice.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing me here.
I'm not speaking. Thank you to all of you. Share up.
Thank you.
Follow me today. All my dancing today.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to release the circle. If you'll remember at the beginning, 3-ish hours ago, we cast a circle. So now we're going to release that circle. We're going to start with the center, and then we're going to go to the north, and then we're going to go to the west, and then we're going to go to the south, and then we're going to go to the east. So I will begin by releasing the center, and I will be the last person also in the east. So I just invite you to, first of all, just get grounded, centered in your body. And we have a center here, which is our altar, our cauldron of transformation, with these beautiful flowers and candles, bringing light, bringing light. And so it is that I give thanks to the center, to the divine Mother, Father, God, to all that is, for holding us in this sacred space. We release you from this circle now. Hail and farewell, center. So now we go to the north. Where's the north?
Deepest gratitude to the North for holding us in the sacred space today, grounding us and anchoring us safe in the earth, in our homeland, especially here in Malaysia. Thank you, thank you, thank you, as we release you from this earth. Hail the North.
Hail and farewell, North. And take a breath and a quarter turn to the left. We're going to release the west now.
Now we release the west, the land of water, intuition, fish, the fish who swam with us today as we circled this circle, they circled in their ocean, circling, 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 in conformity and in joy for us. Thank you, West, and we now release you.
Hail and farewell, west. And a quarter turn, a breath, and a quarter turn to your left to release the south.
The heartfelt of our deepest self. Thank you, South, for joining us today. Bringing the power of fire, sacred Kundalini serpent, our creativity, and sacred sexuality that anyone pursued through your body, expressing it so thoroughly. We now release you. Hail and farewell, South.
Hail and farewell, south. Taking a breath and a quarter turn to the left. We say thank you, East, power of air, and the gift of the winged ones who can see from the higher perspective. Thank you for holding us in the sacred space today. And now as we complete, we release you. Hail and farewell, East.
Hail and farewell, East.
And then let's just gather back to the circle, holding hands as I say our final my favorite little thing I like to say. Sisters, brothers. The circle is open and yet unbroken. May the peace of love be in all of our hearts. Merry meet and merry part and merry being. Thank you. Thank you. Going up again. Blessed be and thank you. And this space is not being used, right? So we have time. If anyone's interested in speaking with Sa about her sacred work or me about mine, At 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an hour. We're going to be dismantling this. But if you're interested in the work that Melissa does or in the work I do, which is right now I'm talking with women about my retreat in Thailand in February, but I do other stuff too. Just come talk to us as we clean things up.
And for those of you who are here for the whole weekend, from our first weekend, Dawn, do you want to know when your daughter's 2 workshops that she's running on her own?
Right, I'm going to be here, and this space is going to become the women's temple. So I'm going to be teaching at 4 or 4:15 tomorrow, and 2 or 2:15 the next day. And they're paired. They're sacred feminine mysteries. So there's teaching and a lot of sharing and ceremony, and then the second one is even more focused on ceremony on Sunday. And
And for me, tomorrow, at 11:15, I'm in the room next door doing an inner child workshop. Lots of music, lots of play, lots of dancing, lots of laughing as well. And on Sunday, I'm sure it's in the morning. I want to say 9 a.m. on a Sunday. Who does 9 a.m.? Apparently I do. I will do that. Okay, in the room next door there for a workshop called Being Fearless. It's all about how we can use music and actually use fear rather than we shy away from fear. We use fear to actually move us through some of our biggest challenges.
and also tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tomorrow evening there's a cacao ceremony. I don't think it's been done here in Malaysia before. Coming experience that is going to be outrageous and amazing. And straight after that, I'm going to be doing an ecstatic DJ set. So I'll be DJing and singing. And then we have a closing party finale on Sunday evening around 6:30. Drumming circle first, followed by another DJ ecstatic dance set.
So come dance with us some more this weekend. Thank you. Please come and speak with us if you have any questions. Yeah, Mindy has an announcement.
Oh, yeah. Good idea. Good thinking, Sherlock.
Paul coming back.
Yeah. No spaces between the faces.
Oh, nice. I really prefer we don't say this.
Let's just
Crazy.
get
Just like,
Freestyle.
Yeah, just everybody come close.
yeah, get it all group in together and remember.
Yeah, it looked like we just spent 3 hours together. A bit of loving. Nobody shares pictures yet. Let's take 10. Where are they share?
What do we do?
Thank you, everyone.
Another one?
Another.
What? More? Okay. I think we've lost them.
I'll message you.
It's herding cats now. Oh, okay.
All freestyle. All freestyle.
Okay, freestyle.
I freestyle
Ready?
is requires censorship.
Count.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, now we're talking.
No.